Okay, this is problem 4 from the WeBWorK homework number 10. So our original problem is y double prime plus 16y equals 40 secant 4t. First thing we have to do is solve for m. We get m squared equals negative 16. M then equals 4i because radical negative 1 is not a real number, and so we replace it with I. So m equals 4i, which automatically means that we are using sine and cosine rather than e. So our y sub c is equal to c1 cosine of 4t plus c2 sine of 4t. Okay, so then, well, maybe not all of that, but this is going to be our y1. This will be our y2. You guys will see why I did that in a second. Alright, so part B of the problem is asking us to find w. We are given this and an equal sign. So our y1 goes here, and our y2 will go here. So we have cosine of 4t sine of 4t. Then we have to take the take the derivative of both of them, and then you get negative 4 sine of 4t, because the derivative of cosine is negative sine. And then sine 4t goes to 4 cosine 4t. To get the answer for this, we multiply this by this. And I'll just get rid of all that for you guys. And so you get 4 cosine squared of 4t minus negative 4 sine squared 4t. Make it look like a 2. So these two will just cancel each other out, so you get a positive rather than a negative. And if you look here and here, cosine squared plus sine squared equals 1. But because you have the 4 here, instead of it equal 1, it'll equal 4. Okay. So there's your W. Now it wants you to find W1 and W2. W1, do that again. Now for this one, you put in 0 and f of x, and our f of x, as you can see up here, I'll just underline it for you, this is our f of x. Move it back down here. And we have 40 secant 4t. On the other side, you put your y2, and you get your sine 4t, oops, and your 4 cosine 4t. And once we multiply those together, these two will cancel each other out because of the 0. And then you get, this looks really weird. We're gonna make that look nicer, sorry guys. So then you get 40 times secant 4t sine 4t which you can get 40 tangent 4t. Now if you don't know where that came from, secant is equal to 1 over cosine 4t, and tangent is equal to sine 4t over cosine 4t. Just so that makes a little bit more sense. Alright, W2 we basically do the same thing with, or at least very similar. Instead, your y1 still goes in the same spot, so you still have your cosine 4t here. And you got your negative 4 sine t here. Or sorry, sine 4t. And then, our 0 and secant squared go on the other side. I'm sorry, secant 4t. So then, you get, I'm sorry, you have the 40 there too. So, we get 40 times cosine 4t, and that's multiplied by secant 4t. Now remember what I just set up here. Secant is equal to 1 over cosine 4t. So, after all that, you just get 40. Okay, now they want you to find u1 prime. And that is equal to w1 for w, which is equal to 40 over 4, which is equal to 10. Gotta do the same thing with u2 prime, only it's w2 over w, and you get, oh, I did that wrong. I did the wrong one first. Sorry, guys. So this one is 40 over 4, which is equal to 10. The first one, is negative 40 tangent 4t over 4, which will give you negative 10 tangent of 4t. Okay, so now you need to find u1 and u2. Here's u1. Got to take the integral of u1 prime dt, which is equal to the integral negative 10 tangent 4t dt, and that is equal to 10 over 4 ln, the absolute value of course cosine 4t, and then you'll obviously have to have your constant at the end. Alright, u2 you gotta do the same thing with u2 prime dt. Of course you just have 10 there, so that should be pretty easy. Yeah, just 10t plus your constant. This is just kind of something you have to memorize. The antiderivative of tangent is equal to the negative natural log of cosine x, or t, or whatever variable you're using, which is why now we have a positive 10 rather than the negative that we had earlier. So then, all you got to do is put everything together. And y sub p is equal to what u1 times y1 plus u2 y2. So yp, oops, after all that, after all is said and done, is equal to 10 over 4 ln cosine 4t times cosine 4t plus 10t sine 4t, which you can kind of simplify to be 10 ln cosine. I'm just trying to spell everything out apparently. Cosine 4t all over 4 plus t sine 4t. If you wanted to get it to where the solution was for the WeBWorK homework, you just multiply everything by 40 over 40s, because that's multiplying by 1 basically, and you get, 4 over 4, you get 40 ln cosine 4t cosine 4t all over 16 plus, then you got t sine 4t over 4. And that was your final answer. Ooh, sorry. And that's all. Hope this helped you guys at all. This problem kind of threw me for a loop a little bit towards the end. Best luck on the exams.